Hello folks, this is Johnny again and welcome back to another guitar tech video. So this time we are going to put everything together. Our two humbuckers, a simple three-way switch, volume knob, tone pot, if you so desire to actually use one. If you're still unclear about some of the individual parts and how they work, then I highly recommend that you check out my other videos that came before this, or just check out my playlist called Guitar Tech. There I first talk about some individual stuff like what is ground, what is hot, how does a three-way switch work and how do you connect it, how does a volume pot work and how do you connect it, how does a tone pot work and how do you connect it. And now we're just going to put it all together. And if you already watched these videos, then you'll notice that this is actually really simple stuff. It's not witchcraft, it's not rocket science, and if I can figure it out, then honestly anybody can figure it out. So let's head in. First of all, we have two humbuckers here, the bridge humbucker and the neck humbucker. And you already see I just put some very simple conductors in here, like this. So this is representative of 4 conductor humbuckers, so you have 4 wires going out. Usually you also have a bare wire going out, that's for shielding, and that just goes to ground, but I don't really care about that right here in the schematics. We just want to talk about the actual conductors that carry the signals and whatnot. So you can already see it's just each coil of a humbucker has its own input and output connection, if you want to call it like that. Usually they're called north start and north finish, and south finish and south start. And now in this simple schematic, what we really want to do is have these 2 coils connected in series. So what we need to do is take these 2 finish conductors and just connect them together. So now whenever you have any kind of voltage being produced in the pickups, well, you have one side of the voltage here, and it's going through coils, and then here, and through coil, and out here. So there you see, now they're in series. Perfect. And of course, we need to do the same here for our bridge pickup. Okay, that's already point number 1. And of course, very important is this connection right now does not go to anything else. So you should tape those off so you don't accidentally get any kind of ground connection that may mess you up. But now let's take a look first of all at the hot path of the whole thing. That's where it's actually really at. And then once that is done, we can take care of all the ground connections. So let's start off here with our neck pickup. If you remember how a 3-way switch works, then well, let's do it real quick, real simple. This goes to B0 and this goes to A0, and then we're going to bridge A1 and A2 over to B2 and B3, like so. And then of course we want to have this whole bridging connection go further out to our hot and to the output jack. But before that, we want to go into our volume pot. So from here we go down directly into lug 1. That is the input into our volume pot, and then the output of our volume pot is lug 2, and that goes on to be our hot. So let's mark this as hot. And there we pretty much already have it. So that's our hot path. Now let's pretend we do not want to have a tone pot in here, so this thing down here is not needed. So now we need all of our ground connection. So usually the way it's done is you take lug 3 of our volume pot and connect it to ground directly just on the casing. Let's use that as our point of ground. And then we need to take this one, connect it over here. We need to take this one, connect it over here. And then this one goes out here to our ground. And that's how you would connect it. So you can kind of see when it comes to schematics, the wires are crisscrossing visually, but when it comes to the actual signal path, it's a very neat circle going around. You have the hot here, going in here, out here, one humbucker, and here, and via the connection on the volume pot to ground. So you see here, one loop. And same goes also for bridge pickup. You have the hot path here and here and here and going to ground. So perhaps, you know, just for argument's sake, let's also visualize it like this. First of all, get this out of the way. Let's say we have our ground connection here. And then this line is kind of representative of our ground connection. And now everything just has to go here. And this one goes down here. And this one goes down here. And you see everything is connected together to ground. And this may be visually a little bit easier to understand. But practically, of course, everything that's going on down here is pretty much connected just to this one point. So now if we check our signal path again, we have the hot here, and let's take the neck pickup and down here, and bam, and bam. You see, you have our loop, and we can take our voltage back here on our output jack. Same goes for the bridge pickup. Signal is here, and here, and here, and down here, and bam. Cool. But now let's say we do want to have a tone pot. Well, how do we implement that? It's actually pretty simple. So in order to understand this a little bit more properly, I suggest you check out my video on the tone pot. So we would connect lug 1 here to lug 2 here. Okay, so our pickups go to volume pot as well as tone pot. And then lug 3 goes to our little capacitor. And then the capacitor needs to be connected to ground again. Usually the way that's done is it's also connected to its case. And then you have these two solar points here on the casing on the tone pot and the casing on the volume pot. And those two go together. But again, to make it visually a little bit more understandable, let's take again here our ground baseline, let's call it that. And then we have bridge going there, we have neck going here, we have tone pot going here, we have volume pot going here. Okay, so visually it's a little bit easier to understand. So now when we have our signal going through here and it goes to the output, at the same time high frequencies are being sent to ground, and then we have our ground connection here. Ba, ba, ba. So you see, actually all pretty simple. Now again, of course, visually this is easier to understand with the ground, but practically that's not how it's done. So these two need to be connected. And then you have this one connected, and you have this one all going to this one point, and then this goes here. You can see visually it's a mess, but conceptually it's exactly the same thing as when you imagine it with your ground connector line down here. And remember, lug 1 doesn't need to be grounded, it doesn't need to be connected in any way. You may also find different kinds of connection between tone pot and volume pot and with the capacitor, but effectively it's still the same thing. And that's already pretty much all there is to it. You see, it's not difficult. So I hope this little series helped you out and took a little bit of the perhaps fear factor away when it comes to fiddling with your guitar electronics. And from here on out we can go into more advanced stuff, things like the 5-way super switch and how we can use that in different configurations. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next time.